They told me straight up, they said, your level is nowhere near what we're looking for. Yeah, I remember just going off that training, crying, calling my dad and be like, no, they didn't want me either. Year after, I got called up to the first team.
And that's the third tier?
Yeah, third tier. So that's like semi-professional. That's when I kind of decided that maybe it's time for a change.
Is that where you take that decision to go to play at UCI?
Yeah, and I talked to my coach in Norway. He didn't agree. I kind of took the decision to not listen to him.
You land in LAX, LA. What'd you think?
I'm all alone now. Like I have no one.
Right.
Like, am I gonna get friends? Are people on the team gonna like me? Am I gonna be good enough? I was just like hoping that this works out.
He was like so reserved. Yeah, I'm Norway, from Trondheim. You know, just got a little bit like, you could tell there's like a little barrier there. We start to realize that Sergio and I can relate and connect with Matthias a lot more because the way you grew up was very similar to the way we grew up. You know, Matthias comes from the trenches of Norway.
Fine ghetto.
When you came, do you remember that game against Georgetown?
I remember that one, yeah.
He gets like, he's like that, he's right like that. And then he just goes down and I just see like, it's like a hose of water on the ground.
Yeah, but the thing is, I had a pretty bad heat stroke and I played the whole second half.
Yeah, and he probably
yeah, the thing in the second half, I played the whole second half. My thought was always like, okay, I'm gonna do a great season now, then I'm gonna go pro. And I learned now that mentality doesn't work. You have to live in the moment.
Right.
Like you can't have your mind other places.
Welcome back to the podcast. This time we have a guest. His name is Mathias Winum. He's the one that provides diversity on this team. He's Norwegian. He plays at UCI with me. Met him when he first got here about 2 years ago, two to 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, Matthias. All right, Matthias, of course, we like hang out all the time. We train all the time. I know a lot about you. So I'm going to let my brother take over this interview a little bit more because I feel like you probably don't know him quite as well as I do. So if you got much or if you got any questions to start us off right now, then we can start off.
Okay, first things first, man. What happened with Norway today?
Yeah, it's tough out here. Yeah.
Against Scotland, bro. I mean, Scotland. They've been in good form. I'm not gonna lie, but
Yeah, no, they are the best team in the group right now, but dominating possession, dominating the game, leading with the big man himself, Holland. And then, what was it, 88 minutes, 89 minutes, we make 3 subs, taking Holland off. Got no attacking threat, and we get smashed 2 goals right away, so 2-1.
well, what do you think the coach is thinking? Just defend the ball?
I think he wanted more running, more work rate. You know, Holland is tired, it's late in the game, and probably don't press as much. And none of the subs hit.
So how did he, I didn't watch the game. How did he score?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. When it was 1-0 for Norway, and he made those 3 subs, I turned it off because I thought it was over.
Well, also you're like, oh, we got.
I was like, it's over. And then I just see the Norwegian news pop up on my phone, 1-1, and then I'm like, oh my god. And then I see 2-1. I was like, what happened? Like I don't. Yeah.
That's
So you didn't look back at the...
So, no, I'm not gonna look back either. That just pissed me off.
okay. I'll look at it.
Like our chances to qualify for what is it?
The Euro?
The Euros, yeah, in Germany.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And then you said earlier, what was it? It's 6 years since the...
Yeah, it's like 5 or 6 years since Norway ever been to a big what is it called? Like a national championship, or like the Euros or the World Cup.
Yeah.
So still not qualified. So we'll see. I don't know.
You guys have a good squad.
Yeah, we have a good squad. We have a lot of up-and-coming players. And like we have Holland, Ødegaard. But then you also have the guys like Ryerson, Østigård that plays on big teams, Napoli, Dortmund.
Yeah.
So we have a good team. And Sørloth, our other striker, plays for Real Sociedad and has like 16 goals or something this year. So he's also supposed to be good. So I don't know what happened.
Is Scotland... I don't know much about Scotland. Does Scotland have a good squad? Or...
They're decent. Their coach, from what I heard, he's been like key figure in the team, and they've been like, you know, there's a type of team that just works really hard.
Yeah, and they have like young talents coming up.
And a lot of those players play in the Prem, bro.
Yeah,
They're decent players.
solid.
Yeah. So from what you watched, was Norway dominated or not?
No, I mean, dominating possession, but Scotland wanted us to have the ball. Because you can see we were moving the ball, but not really creating much. In the first half, it was one shot on goal.
Oh, wow.
So it's like one of those games.
All right. So let's transition
Yeah.
from Norway to a Norwegian. All right, Matthias. So you're European. Can you speak a little bit about yourself, about your childhood, how you came up?
Yeah. I mean, I'm born and raised in Norway. I lived there basically my whole life before I came here. As I told Rafa many times before, when it comes to football, I started when I was 6, which is the usual age you start in Europe. Even earlier, but I started at 6.
Did you start in like club or was it like?
Yeah, you have like your local team that you usually go and play for. And back then I didn't really think much, you're just a kid, you play football, you do other stuff on the side. And I was one of the guys that was probably not into football as much as the rest. So when the other people would train by themselves or go like play tournaments or whatever, I really wanted to do other stuff besides football. And it wasn't until later, like 13 years old, so around there, 12, 13, where I really was like, okay, I want to start pursuing this as a career. Yeah.
The youth leagues in Norway, what is that like? Is it just like you play with is there like one local club team? Is that kind of how it is?
No.
Or multiple like local club teams?
No, so it's multiple. So for example, I'm from the city, the city I told you, the Trondheim? Yeah, that's my city. And then in that city, you have multiple areas, like Santa Ana, Costa Mesa, like that. And then, for example, Costa Mesa would have one team. Santa Ana would have one team. And then you would play for that team in your age group. But of course, it's Norway, so it's way smaller than it is here. So it makes more sense than it would having that here, though. So you play for your team, and then you follow the European football pyramid. So as you get older, you try to progress to the next step. So for example, when you come, something called G season, it's basically when you turn 16 years old. So 16 and under play there, but not below 14 or something like that. And then it's like, if you're not good enough to be on the first team, there's a second team. So there's not like you play like age groups below, And then if you're good enough, you play with the older guys, like the youth teams. And that's how it progresses the whole European pyramid. So you just try to like go upwards. Yeah.
Okay.
There's always a team for you though. Like even if you follow football like professionally, or if you kind of just want to play.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so for like you said, like if you're in Trondheim, is it a club in Trondheim or is there a smaller region in Trondheim?
There's a smaller region there called Kolstad, where I grew up.
Okay, and that's the team that you play for.
Yeah, that's the team I played for.
Okay,
when I grew up.
But because you're from Kolstad.
Yeah.
So if you're from Kolstad, could you have played for another one in a different region?
Yeah. That's no problem. It's just that you're closer. So like you go to school or elementary school or whatever it is, and you want to play for the closest team.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then so then because here it's like, I'll give an example, like Slammers, local club team here. It's Slammers FC, but then there's Slammers Newport Mesa, Slammers Huntington Beach, Slammers CDA Slammers. So there's multiple.
Yeah.
Of that. It's not like that.
No, we have like a club in Europe. You don't have a club spread out. It's like Premier League, Manchester United, and then you have Manchester United youth team going all the way down to age 8. Academy. Like that's how it is in the whole of Europe.
Yeah.
Here it's more like pay to play.
Right.
Like Slammers make something and they want it multiple places so people can
expand that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's more structured. It's more like
there's a pathway for sure,
right,
to pro.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about your pathway then. So when you went from like you said, you were playing for a team in Coleslaw.
Coleslaw.
Yeah. And then from there, where did you go to?
So I played there until I was in 8th grade. And then my mom and dad had already split. So I needed to find a team that was more convenient.
Right.
Because the team that I played for was close to my dad. So that meant that when I lived with my mom, I would have to go all the way over to my dad to play. And I was looking a little bit around, and I wasn't a really talented player back then. I tried to be, but I wasn't good enough, and I knew myself. So I needed to find a place where it's like you could just join and just play, right? And I looked, and I found a club that was in the middle called Gimse. And that's a team that it's not a high level, but the players on my team there were very connected. Like we were a very, very good group of guys. And I joined there because it was convenient and I liked the squad. And I think that's probably one of the best decisions I've ever made going there in terms of football.
Why?
Because I had some coaches that taught me a lot of football, and I got a lot of friends that enjoyed playing football. So we would play all the time, and they would be they wanted to go pro as much as me. And we played, it's very hard to explain, but in youth football, you also have divisions. So in Norway at the time, 0 division was the highest, and I played 1st division.
0 divisions.
0 division was the highest. They call it the national league.
Okay.
And that's basically like, Rosenborg, big team in Norway, so their youth team would play there.
Right, okay.
So academy-ish, a league for all the academies. And then I played the 1st division, which was more like, it's still like all right, but anyone could probably play there, like you. Yeah. So I played that. I played that level. And then we ended up actually in my later years, like when we played, I was 16 or something. We ended up winning that league. And that was crazy because it was way above what we were supposed to do with our team. A very small place. And yeah, so it was a good experience and a lot of fun.
So you like you said, you were like, you thought it was like the best decision you could have made to go into that team, even though they weren't probably the highest level.
It suited me the best.
Okay, but do you think you could have played a higher level than that team at that time?
No, not when I joined there. When I joined there, I think that was my level.
That was your level?
Yeah, because when I played, I remember my level wasn't any higher than the rest.
Yeah.
But later on, I would outgrow a few players, but that wasn't until later on. So at the time, it was good.
Is there anyone from that area or that place that made it to
No, actually all of my teammates on that team quit.
Oh wow.
Yeah, no one of them pursued pro. So we had a few very talented players, but they decided to stop football.
So if we try to relate it back to the States, so Division 0, you said, the highest. Is that the highest youth league you could play in?
Yeah. Like MLS Next.
So that would be right now MLS Next.
Yeah, it's a different...
different structure.
It's a little bit different because how it is in Europe is that, what do you call it, senior football is where you want to be.
Right.
And then in my area, you have all the way from Tippeligaen, which is the highest, that's where Rosenborg, all the way down to 6th division.
Right.
And some areas also have 7th division, like in Oslo.
Okay.
We have more people. But mine goes down to 6th division. And then if you're 16 years old, you play youth. So you have nothing to do with that. But then you could also, if you have the first team plays 5th division, which was my case, Gimse. We had a senior team in 5th division. They could tell me hey, do you want to play 5th division? We want you to come and play. And then for me, being a 16-year-old, playing with grown up people, it's a very, for example, I don't know what it is in pounds, but I was 60 kilos and now I'm 83 to 85 kilos and I was 60. Yeah. And I met these guys who were grown up, playing football their whole life. And even though they weren't really good, I had no chance. And you grow a lot, playing against grown-ups.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
okay. It's okay. So I guess it's a lot different.
Youth league that's just the youth teams.
Yeah.
And then you have the senior teams, but you can also play for them.
Yeah.
So a little complicated to explain, but yeah.
No, I see. Okay. And so from where you're playing at 13, right? You were there, or up until how old were you at that team?
I played there until I was 16. Was my last season.
Okay.
And at that time, I felt like, okay, we have done well with the team. And I don't feel like I get challenged in training anymore. I felt like it was kind of like, I come there and you sometimes when you feel like, okay, you want stuff to go faster, you want the ball to move faster, you want people to be better in a way,
right,
without being disrespectful. So I was at a point where I wanted the practices to be more harder, tougher.
Right.
So I made a decision, and I said that I went to because at this time I played youth, but I also played with the first team, which was 5th division in Norway. And I went to him and I told him that I think I want to change teams. And I think I want to try a higher level team. And for me, I've been playing lower level my whole life up until 16. So it was a big challenge for me as well to see if I could do it, because I didn't know if I could do it. And we talked a bit, and he was like, yeah, I know a few coaches from other teams, like youth teams. So under 19s, but you call it under 21 probably.
Yeah.
And he knew some coaches that he could talk to. And he gave me trials for 3 different teams in the Trondheim area that played 0 division in the youth.
Right.
Yeah, and that was my goal, to play that. And I trained with one of the teams, and they just straight up was like, no, like, I don't think we need a center back right now, and I don't think you're good enough. And then I went to the second trial, and I don't want to say the club because I don't want to be disrespectful. But they told me, no, they told me straight up. They said, your level is nowhere near what we're looking for. And I remember going off that training crying, because they were very harsh in the way they told me.
Wait, so how, like, you go and you do one session and you train with them once?
No, I had for both of those clubs that I just mentioned, I were on trials for a week.
Okay. And so for this club with this coach, it was at the end of the week that they told you that, or it was like?
Yeah, they told me in the end of the week, but they told me while we were playing. We played 9v9 or something like that, like a little bit bigger field. And in my head, I felt like things were going fine, and I was like happy that they still wanted me there. And he pulled me out from training because we were one more. So there was a guy on the sideline, and he pulled me out while I was playing and put in the guy who was on the sideline. And he just told me straight up, like, I don't think we need to like wait anymore, and I don't think we need to make it exciting. I want to be real with you, which I respect that he said. But then it was very harsh. He said, you're nowhere near the level. And then this is like 2 weeks after I've been to the other club, where I felt like, okay, I'm kind of close, but they don't need a center back. And now this guy is telling me that I'm nowhere near. I'm not even close.
So did you think, but when you were training, did you think you were at that level?
No, I felt like the center backs they had were better than me. But I also felt like, okay, it's not too far.
Right.
Like, if I can get into the rhythm, maybe.
Right.
Like, but like, I agree with him that I wasn't the best right there, that they were better. But then I also think it was a bit harsh the way he told me. And I remember just going off that training, crying, calling my dad and be like, no, they didn't want me either, like the other team. And I was thinking, am I going to go back to my old team? And that would be like a little bit embarrassing.
Right.
Because I felt that, okay, now it's like I'm 16 years old and I basically said, hey, I think I'm too good for you guys.
Yeah.
And then I'm coming back after,
Yeah.
Yeah, so I did not want to do that. I wanted to try. And then the coach who had made me those 2 trials, he said, I got one more club that you can go on trials for. And it was Nardo, that you know about.
Yeah, no.
And it was their youth team that also was in 0 division. And I was like, okay, like I might as well try it. I have nothing to lose. And this was in the winter, and they didn't have season. So I remember the field was really bad. It was snowing. I remember thinking like, oh my God, like it's hard to control the ball.
Yeah.
But I just kept it simple and I played. And then randomly after, I think it was the third day of trials, I also had 2 other teammates from Imse, the team I left, that also went on the trials. And he put us all in, and he told 2 of us that they were interested in like having us. And because you don't sign a contract or nothing, but they said like, yeah, we want you guys for the team. And then they let one go and said like, I don't think, like, we don't need you, because their midfielder was really good and he was a midfielder. So then all of a sudden I had a chance that I didn't think I would have.
I think at that time that Nardo was better than the other 2 clubs that you had trialed with?
No, that's the funny thing, because we were all in the same division. And the team that told me that I was completely off, they were the better team. 100%. They were the best team. And then this team was probably the second best, I feel like. And then, yeah, I came there. Season started. I played 2 or 3 games in second division. So happy.
What do you mean second division?
No, 0 division. My bad. 0 division.
Okay.
So happy playing like higher than I did already in the youth. And then I got, because it's like when you do well in youth, they put you on the second team for the senior football. So Nardo's first team was in the 3rd tier of Norway, called second division. And their second team were in 4th division. And for me, I played 5th division before. So yeah, 4th division is nothing crazy. It's still like people playing for fun sometimes. But it was one step above what I was used to. And I got invited to play for that team. Didn't know anyone, just a few of me and the other like guys playing on the youth team. Played there, did well. Scored 2 goals actually in my debut, which was fun.
As a center back?
As a center back, yeah.
Crazy.
So that was pretty fun. And then after that, they told me that how would you like to just play 4th division, and that, which is senior football against grown men, and not play youth football. And the reason being that they thought that I could play that level, and also they had 4 other center backs that wanted to play on the other team. So if I played, I would be a 5th. So it would be one guy that would never play.
Yeah.
And I agreed. I said, yeah, I think that's a good idea. And then I played 4th division and finished the year playing 4th division. And then year after, I got called up to the first team to train. And I was far from like, I was not, I know myself, I wasn't good enough.
So at that age, you're 17 now?
Now I'm 17.
Yeah.
And I was not good enough to play there.
And that's the 3rd tier?
Yeah, 3rd tier. So that's like semi-professional.
Semi-pro?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's like a league where people get paid a lot of money. In some clubs, not mine though. But yeah. And I remember coming on training, and it's the first time my whole life where I felt like, wow, like it goes too fast and I'm not good enough. And I knew myself, and the standards were way higher than I was used to. So a lot of the like senior players, they would tell me like, hey, this is not good. And they would scream at me in training. And I don't think I had a training the first month, but I would go home and be happy. I would be very, very like either mad or sad after the trainings.
Bro, it's so crazy because it's like the same thing when I went to OCSC.
Yeah.
I signed when I was 17.
Yeah.
And it was like you would call it senior football because it's with the pro team and in the second division here. But it's probably, I don't know, from what you see, do you think the USL is like, what would you equate it to?
USL is probably around the same level. Maybe some of the top teams are higher.
The second tier?
So they might be like second tier.
Okay. Because, like, yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, well, like, the game is faster because I've always, like, similar to you, I was always just playing, like, youth football. I was always playing with just club level. So then when I come and start playing with, like, all these grown men, it's like the ball's moving faster. Guys have more ideas. There's guys who've played in the Prem who are now in their final years of playing. Their last year of playing, they're just there. Like, Richard Chaplow would play at Southampton and stuff was there. And you could tell, like, their IQ and the speed of play was just so much better than what I was used to. And then, yeah, similar to you, after every session, I would just stop and think. And, like, there's a lot of, like, days where I would just cry on my way home because I'm like, dude, like, this is tough. Like, I'm not at the level. But the thing is I didn't think the level was too far-fetched. Yeah. Like, I didn't think it was too far. I just knew that I wasn't like, because going like playing like at Slammers when I in my youth career, like I was always like top goal scorer, captain, loud, you know, always on the ball. Here I was like, man, I'm finding myself not wanting to be on the ball.
Yeah.
And it was like, and so there was a lot of like, for me after sessions, I had to like speak to myself and try to like, almost like, it's like almost like convince myself that I'm gonna get there.
Yeah.
Like, but there was never of like, oh, I should quit. But it was always like, okay, I need to put in more work because this is not enough.
Oh,
What was your mentality then?
yeah, that was the exact same. I felt bad, and I came home, and I was like, why am I feeling sorry for myself?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not good enough. It's my fault that I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the players on the team would vouch for me as well. The senior players that like screamed the most at me and wanted me to raise my level the most. They were also the people that when I started staying after training, when I came before training, sometimes I came an hour before training, trained, had the training, and then stayed an hour after training. So I was there like almost 4 hours training. And some people would say it's too much, but I was kind of like obsessed getting to their level at least.
Yeah.
Because I felt so far off, and I didn't want to ruin their training session. And a lot of the senior guys that screamed the most at me and that I was kind of like a little bit terrified of, they were also the first people saying, hey, good job.
Right.
Like, keep doing that.
Right.
And telling me, like, if I asked them, like, there was one center back who had very nice driven balls, like long driven. Like, he would hit long balls, but they would like barely move above your head. It wouldn't be the floaters that I would pass. And I asked him, I'm like, how are you doing that? And he told me that he could stay after training and show me technique. And we just stood there like for an hour, and I was so happy that someone at least wanted to help me, because I felt like, you know, when you're doing bad and the other people are raising their voice, they are demanding from you, you feel like they hate you.
Yeah.
But they don't hate you. They just want you to be better.
Right.
Because they want the team to be better.
Right.
And being a 17-year-old in that environment made me mature a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. And also my body, like I was very, very skinny at the time. And the strikers would love playing against me because you can just post me up and I wouldn't have any chance. So I also worked a lot on that at the time. Went a lot to the gym compared to what I did before. And yeah. So that's probably those years that I was there, the 3 years before I came here, 3-4 years. It was the years I took the most steps in my career.
Yeah.
Where I evolved the most as a football player.
So then, Nardo, you play a season. Do you with the senior team? Do you find yourself in any games?
Yeah, I would be on the bench.
Yeah.
I would be on the bench my first season, and I got 0 games.
Okay.
It wasn't until I was 18. I went the whole season on the bench as well. Being a center back, you know, it's very hard beating these guys who already play this level. But then the last game we played against a team called Fredrikstad. They were a big team in Norway before, and they have gotten relegated the last few years. Big stadium, a lot of people. It was the most that I've ever played in front of. There like 3,500 people, and it's like a real stadium, like a real one. And this is the first time I ever been there, and I was just happy to be there, you know, as always. And all of a sudden, the coach tells me to warm up. I warm up, and he's like, the last 5 minutes, you're going in on the striker.
Yeah.
I was like, I just want to give you your debut.
That's so.
That's sick.
And I could have scored on my debut.
Yeah.
And I regret it so much that I that I wasn't tougher. I was in the box between the Fredrikstad defenders, 2 center backs, huge guys. And the ball came out on the width, and I was still in between them. And he just crossed like first time, and it was an amazing cross right in between them. And I wish I would just like throw myself and just head it, but I was kind of like holding it a bit because the guy also like tried to head it out, and then I kind of like let him head it out in front of me instead of like throwing myself. So yeah,
Man,
but
could have been a striker after that goal.
but that's the thing though. That's the funniest thing. I probably played more striker for them than I played center back.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. So
Because there, I guess, like the Norwegian style is very much like I would say like similar to like the English style where it's a bit of like a long ball and like just bigger guys up top? Or...
Yeah, I would say you could say that it's more long balls and it's more, especially that division. Like second division Norway, like third tier, it's a lot of like some bad fields and a lot of long balls and a lot of big guys who get paid for just doing good decisions and keeping it simple. So then when for example, my coach, he probably didn't think that I was good enough playing out of the back. I took too many chances and he didn't like that. So he put me up top where I could hold the ball, I could win headers, I could flick it on, I could.
Right.
So I didn't score. I'm not a striker. Like you already know, I'm not a striker. So I don't know how to like smell a goal, but I was good at like playing my teammates good, like just laying it off and stuff. And I was just happy to be on the field, to be honest.
So you played, that was your second season?
This one was second, yeah, when I was 18 years old.
Okay, and then from there...
I never really were able to play myself to a starter because every time I felt like, okay, now I'm going to play, they bought, or like, they didn't bought, but they brought in a new center back with a Norway under 19 games, Norway under games, you know, so I never got the chance to like be a starter.
Right.
So I ended up with, during like 3 seasons being with them, where the first one kind of don't count because I wasn't good enough, having 13 games like in total, which is, I felt when I was 20 that I was at a level where I should play and I should start. And I felt like, okay, now I feel good. I feel like a good player. And I still didn't get my chance. And that's when I kind of decided that maybe it's time for a change. Because I don't know how much longer I can be in an environment where I'm performing, but not getting the trust, you know?
So then that's when, is that where you take that decision to go to like play at UCI?
Yeah, that's the decision. I went on a vacation to Miami, and I remember me and my dad was just playing with each other on the field, playing football, and we were like, okay, like this is nice, like the weather, the scenery, just being able to play football whenever you want. And randomly, I got a text from CS USA, which is an agency that brings Scandinavians over to the US to play football. And I talked to my coach in Norway. He didn't agree. He thought that if I stayed, I would become a starter. I kind of took the decision to not listen to him because I felt like they had told me that before.
Right.
So I was kind of like, no, I don't really believe you. And I decided to look at offers from different colleges. And then I got a few D1 colleges, and I felt like UCI fit me the best in terms of playing style and coach.
Yep.
So yeah.
How did it work? How was like them scouting you? Like, did you have like a highlight video or?
Yeah. So the first step I had to do was to make a highlight video, and luckily, since I had played in a place where where the games gets live streamed, I had clips and I had stuff to show for, and I could even show that I could play like striker a few minutes if you wanted me to.
Right.
So I remember making that video and the highlight video and sending my agent, or whatever you want to call him, the guy who helps me from CSUSA, great guy. He helped me send it out to different coaches that he knows, and a few D1 schools came back. And I remember what really got me to focus on UCI was that I talked to different schools. Don't want to mention them, but I talked to different schools, and they were very interested. But they said like, oh yeah, like we want you, the normal stuff. At UCI, I get a message back with my video, like it's too much offensive stuff on the ball. I want to see you defend. And I was like, oh wow, like someone actually like cared this much.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I felt like, okay, I made another video defending more, sent it to him. He came back again with stuff I needed to improve. And he never told me once like, oh, you're so good. He said, you need to improve. And I know you have a similar mindset to me that, okay, like you're never, like you're not good enough.
Yeah.
You want to get better.
Yeah.
And I felt like, okay, if I can go somewhere where I can be a few years and improve, that's what I want. I don't want to play and not improve. I want to be at a team that makes me better.
Yeah.
I want to learn stuff.
Calls you out. So
Yeah.
that's how you'll see usually is something. I told you how it is.
Yeah.
That's
so
what you like. Huh?
I really appreciated that. Yeah. And that's when I decided to make that decision. And it's a very brave decision because it's not it's not usual in Europe that if you want to pursue a pro career that you go to college.
Right.
College is more like, okay, you're a good player, you can get a good scholarship and an education. So you don't really have to pay too much to get a good education.
Yeah.
And you get to play football. But I'm here for the football part. And that's what I'm like, that's my gamble.
Yeah.
Like, I have to do school, I have to get education, which is nice, but I really, really want to go pro. And that's the whole reason why I'm here. Yeah.
Okay, so let's explain. So now, when you come to the States, you go up to California. It's the first time going to California when you...
Never been there, yeah.
Okay, so first, what'd you think? You land in LAX, LA, what do you...
So the crazy thing is, when you go along... Huh?
You realize how ugly LA is?
And no, actually I couldn't see that my first time, because I remember going on the plane down, just looking out to the city, coming off
polluted and
stuff. It's just, I mean, yeah, but like it's a huge city. Like I can you look over the horizon and it's like it never stops. And in Norway, you landed in Trondheim, it's a city, and that's it.
It's so dark.
It's just it's just trees and there's nothing crazy. So I remember just being like, oh shit, like this is insane.
Yeah.
And then I went into LAX, never been there, and I remember just seeing places that I've seen on movies in LAX. Like, oh, I remember I've seen this. So it kind of felt like I've been there. And then I needed to get to where I was gonna live.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to get there. But then my keeper coach, like Jonna, the keeper coach at UCI, he came and picked me up. And he came in his car, picked me up, and we put on some West Coast rap music from the 90s, some Tupac, some Snoop Dogg.
That's good.
When we were driving, and I remember driving like through LA and towards like Irvine, and I just like bumping the 90s rap songs and talking to Jonna. I was just like, wow, this is different. Like this is super different. Like I'm all alone now. Like I have no one.
Right.
Yeah.
Like am I gonna get friends? Are people on the team gonna like me? Am I gonna be good enough? Is the level gonna be good? Like I didn't know nothing.
Yeah.
I was just like hoping that this works out. And I live with Luke, our goalkeeper.
Yeah.
My first few weeks, month.
Living in Newport, right?
Newport, yeah.
Right next to the
Newport
beach.
Right next to the beach.
Yeah, that's nice.
And he would show me around. He would take me in his car, and we would go different places. I would be like, wow, like this is nice, yeah. And it was so nice. Luke showed me like so many places, and yeah, really, really nice.
So how long from when you landed? How long was it from when you landed to when we first trained together?
So we first met at Magia.
Right. Yeah.
So I remember it was a few weeks, and then Luke tell me like, hey, a lot of the UCI guys are gonna get together with this thing called Magia, and we're gonna play just 11 aside.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that sounds fun. I want to meet the UCI guys. And then I came there, and then I met everyone and you as well.
So that was weeks after you landed?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'd like been training on my own at Bonita though.
Yeah.
The times he wanted to drive, or else I've been just juggling and stuff outside of his house for like the weeks that I was there. And then after like 2 weeks or something, we met at the Magia thing.
Okay. So now, from what I remember when I met you, I thought it was like, he was like so reserved, so like the walk, you're like kind of like this walking, and you talk to you, you're like, yeah, I'm Norway, I'm from Trondheim. You know, just kind of a little bit like, you could tell there's like a little barrier there.
Shy or?
A little bit at first. Yeah, I don't know. I just thought like, and I remember actually before that, I remember seeing you on Zoom. Because this was like when you first joined the team, it was like COVID, right?
Yeah.
So we still had to we had like team meetings over Zoom, and I thought it was so funny. Everyone was trying to like, you know, everyone's like has the light on, has a shirt on, everything, and just trying to be like professional and just be on the camera. You see, as you're like looking through the Zoom, you see Matthias in the corner in his bed with his blanket over him. He's laying down like this. He's just watching Apple sleep. So I remember thinking, like, who is this guy?
Because I was in Norway. It was in the middle of the night.
You were in Norway?
Yeah, for you guys it was fine because it was in the day. I was in the middle of the night. I wanted to sleep so bad.
I just thought it was so funny. And then I see him. And so, yeah, it was a little bit of that. But then even Sergio was with us. Yeah, Sergio was with us because we went to, like, what was it, Corner Bakery after?
Yeah.
So we went to Corner Bakery, and then there was another Norwegian there that was on the UCI team, Victor, who had just landed with you guys as well.
Yeah.
He went to go play and train with us. And so we went to Corner Bakery, and then we're just there talking. It was me, Sergio, you, and Victor. And as we're talking, we start to realize that Sergio and I can relate and connect with Matthias a lot more because the way you grew up was very similar to the way we grew up. And you get to Victor's from Oslo and, you know, a little bit more posh. So it was just like, you know, Matthias comes from the trenches of Norway.
Fine ghetto.
So it was like, okay, like we could like he started opening up a little bit more. I'm like, oh, like this guy's like, he's cool. Like I can relate, connect with you a little bit better. And then yeah, from there I think we really clicked with when we started talking about training.
Yeah.
And then like training on our own. And that's why I think we really clicked. Because then from there, we're like, oh, you like told me if you're going to go train, like let me know what's up. And then I would go. Like, I think at this point, you already got your apartment sorted with Victor and Kelvin and stuff. And so, like, I would pick you up and then we'd just go to Bonita or somewhere and we'd train.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember. And then that from there, it was like training almost every day. And then training with the team and then train after just ourselves and stuff like that. So yeah, I remember it was like, that's what I like. Where we clicked the most because we're like, we like to train on our own.
Yeah.
And I would always like before that, I was always training with my like. Sometimes I'll train with Sergio or like some of my homies, but like, it was just here and there. Other day and like most days it was just by myself. I remember once you came, I was like, all right, it's us two, like every single day. And then okay. So then we go into season. First season, kind of like looking back at it, how would you explain it? How would you summarize it?
I felt like it went like college season goes so fast.
Yeah.
Like I'm used to feeling like the season never ends, and now it feels like the season is like it just starts and then it's over.
Yeah.
How long is the season?
Preseason starts in August, and then it depends on how far you make it. But like, let's say you make it to the end of, like you make it to the finals of the NCAA tournament, it'll end in like November, December.
What?
Yeah.
Or is nothing.
Yeah, and then I also was like, okay, you guys got oh my god, I still don't know what it's called. What is it called? The first games we play, the first half
Out of conference.
Out of conference. So I remember the out of conference games. I was like, okay, so what are we playing now? Are we playing conference? Are we like?
I remember that. I remember you're like, wait, so do these points matter? Yeah, right. You guys are like, what's going on?
What are we doing? And then people keep telling me like, oh, this is RPI. Oh, what is it? What's RPI? Like, what are we doing?
What's RPA?
Yeah, and then it's like, okay, it's rating, like where you ranked in the US, and if you rank very high, they can like give you a spot in the tournament, like the nationals.
Yeah. So like, if you're like, yeah, it's ranking. So if you beat like whoever's like top 10, ranked top 10, if you beat them, your RPI goes up.
Yeah, it goes up. You get a lot of or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like, so you get, and then at a certain spot, you secure a spot in the NCAA tournament. That's why like these big teams are already in the NCAA tournament like every year.
Yeah.
Because they're ranked highly.
That's why ELC does games against them, right?
It's more like yes, but it's also like he wants to like have us play the best always.
Yeah.
So but it's always been like for UCI, it's always been our ticket to get into the NCAA tournament is to win the conference.
Yeah.
It's never really been RPI. Like, it's always been to win the conference. The first place team gets a spot into tournament, and that's just the Big West, I think, in general.
Big West tournament you need to win.
Yeah. Like I don't think any team in the Big West conference is like has a spot secured and stuff like that. I don't know if it's ever happened, but yeah. So yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I remember that.
Because I also remember we did like pretty bad
Yeah,
my first year in the other conference, and I remember like, oh my god, like we're shit, like what's going on? And then the season starts, and I'm like, okay, so now we're playing, and I'm like, yeah, now we're playing. So I'm like, okay, so what happened like with the games we played? No, they don't matter. I'm like, okay, so they don't matter now. Like I did all I could for 90 minutes every single game, and they don't matter. Like it doesn't matter.
It's funny because we had like our score, right, or like our like the games won, lost, tied. What do you call it? Our record.
Yeah,
We had our record in the whiteboard.
All L.
And we see it where it's like, disappointed by it because we didn't do well in like the preseason or whatever. And then they're like, all right, conference game this week or whatever. Erase that record 0-0-0. We're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, so nice.
So when it was his first year, it was your second year? First.
It was considered my first year because
Because you redshirted.
I redshirted because I got surgery my first year, so I redshirted, and then the second year was COVID.
Right.
So then Matthias came in the same time I came in, which is gonna be my first year. So we both had like the same first year pretty much.
Yeah.
I was just familiar with it because I was been there. Yeah. But so then how would you describe your performance or your during that season? Like how did
No, I remember I felt very good when we started playing, and I felt like, okay, like we have a good team, like a good group of guys, and I felt like we worked hard. And my personal performance, I felt like I did well.
Were you a starter?
Yeah.
he played like almost every single game. Yeah, I think the only time you didn't play was because you were of an injury.
Yeah.
It was like shoulder injury,
Yeah.
yeah.
That was his first year?
Yeah. So I felt like I did pretty good, and then got some stuff for it as well. And then the team did good. We got Coke champs.
Champs of the
Conference. And then we lost the final.
I'm in the US hole.
Yeah, I'm in the US.
Cook champs.
Like it was like weird. Our record, like, because we got co-champs with Santa Barbara because like everything was lined up together. Like,
Yeah, that's true.
You guys should have had like
same goal differential and everything.
Yeah.
Oh no, but then you met them in the final.
Yeah, then we met them in the final.
Oh, that was when they
Big
were with the
West.
red card early, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
we
so
performed
bad.
so bad at the final.
Yeah. So no, I felt like it was a good first year.
Yeah. No, I remember you having a really good first year. You got, what is this, Big West, like second team or whatever.
Yeah.
But like
And the freshman top 100.
freshman top 100. But like the reason, like, and that's the thing is like freshmen typically don't get put into like the first team, like Big West first team or whatever.
Yeah. They said something about like, because I felt like I could have been in the first team.
Yeah.
But they said something about like, but if you're in the freshman team,
Yeah.
and this then it's like more likely to put you in the second team.
Right.
Because it's like you're a freshman.
Right.
I don't understand how that makes sense, but yeah,
I don't know. But
whatever.
okay, and then just got done. Well, not just got done, but we got done this past season, which is our second season. Again, what did you
I felt like I performed pretty good for a long time. Then I had a little period where a lot of stuff happened in my personal life. And on top of that, I struggled to really perform the way I wanted to. And my thought was always like, okay, I'm going to do a great season now, then I'm going to go pro.
Yeah.
And I learned now that mentality doesn't work. You have to live in the moment.
Right.
Like you can't have your mind other places. So I will remember going to training and I was just like, okay, like get this practice done. I want to play a game. And then I remember like, okay, it's a game. I need to perform. And I was thinking so much about performing that you struggle to perform because you get like
pressure, too much
so caught up in your head. Yeah. And I played every single game except the last 5. I got an injury or whatever you want to call it, allergic reaction plus the injury at one of the games. And I was out for a few games. And then when I came back, you guys have managed to keep a clean sheet.
Yeah.
Like the team has managed to keep a clean sheet. So the coach told me that he didn't want to change anything. And that's fair enough. And thinking back at it right now, I didn't perform well enough to be playing.
Yeah.
So what I learned is that you need to be in the moment, and you need to always think about like what's going on right now. Like what can you do to help your team right now?
Right.
So yeah, now my mentality is different. Like yeah, I want to go pro, but my focus is on UCI and the team and helping the team. Not even like personal performance. More like okay, we need to win.
Yeah.
Like,
so what can I do for us?
What can I do for us to win? Like if I have to get subbed out, I'll get subbed out. I just win.
Yeah. No, for sure. I agree with that. But I want to. So and it's going back to the first season, but when you came, do you remember that game against Georgetown?
I remember that one. Yeah. Kind of remember that one.
So Matthias, so accustomed to the Norwegian weather that he comes and we play against Georgetown, where it's like such a weird. It was a weird weather during that week. But like there's like the game had to get delayed, pushed back the next day because it was like a thunderstorm or whatever that they were supposed to play. So we played the next day, and then that day is like super hot and humid. And so Matthias plays, he gets a heat stroke. Dude, I just remember because I was on the bench and I'm watching the game and I just looking at Matthias. And after the ball gets cleared, I'm looking at him like, because I just hear, he's going like that, he's running like that. I'm like, dude, what? Like, and I forgot what I told my dude. Something's wrong with Matthias. And I look, and then he just goes down, and I just see like, just like a hose of water on the ground, and then he's like that, and she's still trying to keep playing. And then I told our trainer, and then they stopped the game to go check on him, and this fool got like he's pretty bad heat stroke, and then it happened again that season against.
No, but the thing is, I had a pretty bad heat stroke, and I played the whole second half.
Yeah, and he probably
I had a in the second half, I played the whole second half. I was dead.
Yeah, then it happened again in Sacramento.
Yeah, I've been away against Sacramento, like close to the same weather.
Oh, it was.
I just my body just breaks down.
They're pure turf, no?
Yeah, no, that's grass. That's grass.
Yeah.
With Georgetown turf, or is it grass?
Georgetown is
Grass.
I think it's grass actually. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that was not fun.
Yeah. Okay. So so now that you've played 2 seasons here in college, and you grew up in Norway, what do you think is the biggest difference between the two styles of play, or the two, just the level or whatever?
The biggest difference is probably how the like football pyramid is set up. For example, like college, you can be like an older guy, you can be like 20 something, but you never play against a guy that's like 30 because it's college.
Right.
You know, in Europe you have senior football, you can play 30, like as you see on TV, normal stuff. So that's probably the biggest change for me, because I'm like, I will never play against a striker that I know, oh, he has a lot of experience, like Chaplow, for example. You will never play against a guy like that because it's college. But then again, you will play against very, very good footballers that are just like not seen, not gone pro yet.
Yeah.
Very underrated players who are really good and should be higher. And I would say the biggest difference, like, that's probably the biggest difference when it comes to performance, because, you know, you have people that's older, more experienced.
Right.
Here you have more like hungry, younger, more like running, less tactics. A lot of people who wants to just try to impress.
Yeah.
And I would also say that probably another problem here is that if you're a player in Europe that are like super good, you can go on to the next level, right? Like if I play second division Norway and I do very well, they can come and get me.
You're more likely to
go to the next level.
Right.
In here is like, if you're super good, okay, like you had a very good college season, can you do it 3 more years until you graduate? Right. And then we'll look at you. Like, for example, the striker we played against last year, Santa Barbara, he had an amazing season. Right. I don't remember a striker scoring that many goals in the Big West. And now we went to another college, a little bit better college, but another one.
That's
You stay in the same, pretty much stay in the same level.
Staying at the same level. Yeah. So it's like I feel like you kind of have to like graduate until people make a decision on you.
Unless you're already kind of like in contact or have the connection with the club.
And it's always like football, it's connections. Yeah. So
Does the style, but I guess the style different, like it's different between all colleges. It's the same way, like different between all teams.
yeah.
So, but you think the style at UCI suits your style the best?
Yeah.
Compared to where you were at before it?
Yeah, because where I was at in Norway, it would always been a team that like loves to kick longer and play simple. It was a team that was like fighting against relegation. Now we're at a team that wants to win stuff. And wants to win basically everything.
Yeah.
And we don't only want to win, we want to play football. We want to play out of the back. We want to play up to the in-between gaps. We want to find the midfielders, you know? And that suits me. Like, that's the way I love to play. I love to play football. I love to, you know me, like I love being on the ball.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So, do you have any final questions?
No, I think.
You don't want to ask how you played against, how was it playing against Holland?
Well, me, yeah,
We can wrap it up with that question.
Yeah.
So, quick story on how you played against Holland.
We were very young. I don't even remember how young we were. But it was like anything from 13 and down. And we played, I don't remember if it was the Swedish Cup, which was Storsjö, or if it was the Danish, which is Dana, Dana Cup. But it was one of them, and we played their team Bryne, and we lost. And I just remember playing, I guess, because it looks like me. It's the same stuff as me, like it's blonde, and it was tall and skinny, and yeah. But I don't remember much. I don't remember him being like, oh my god, it's insanely good.
But now, when you see like from where he is now,
probably
it's just crazy.
It's crazy. It's like not expected at all. But I mean, I think he like became really good when he came to Molde, which was the top division in Norway for that team, and he started like eating and getting bigger. Because he like I know I've heard interviews and stuff, and he said that he needed to like put on weight to be stronger and stuff. So he ate a lot and he trained a lot of strength and he did a lot, and now he's just a machine.
Yeah,
like you can't touch him. And I think he wasn't like that before.
I heard he has like a crazy diet that he just eats like all meat and stuff.
Yeah, he eats a lot of meat.
That is yeah,
maybe
crazy.
So no, I don't. I wish I could say more about it, but I don't remember a lot. I just remember playing him and his team.
You need to add that so we can put it on the clickbait.
Perfect. Easy. Well,
All right. Well. All right, perfect. All right, thanks, Matthias. I mean, we didn't mention that you're part of the Without a Doubt team, but we mentioned it last podcast, so everyone knows you're part of the team.
our center back specialist.
Center back, yeah. So,
Training.
yeah, that's it. You got anything? No. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it. Show some love on Instagram. What's your
Instagram?
My Instagram is Matthias _ whatever you call it. You look. Yeah. So I think you should just pop it up here. Put it somewhere.
Hey, you
got it.
All right.
Put it in the description.
And you can follow us on our Instagram, Without a Doubt _ athletics. And yeah. All right. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.